Good evening and welcome to 365 Days of Amazing Stories with Theo Mayer. Here we are on day 340, and I'm continuing the story of the Banyan Deer, who had agreed to allow the doe who was carrying the fawn not to have to go present herself as the sacrificial deer for that particular day. Though her lot had been drawn, though she had presented herself to the king of her herd, he had told her that rules are rules and she must go anyway. But the Banyan Deer let her go free. She bounded away in great happiness, knowing that, at least for now, the fawn that she was carrying inside of her would be safe and be able to be born. Though her lot had been drawn, the Banyan Deer agreed to accept her position, accept that he would go instead of her, in front of the men of the king, who each day sacrificed whatever deer was standing there waiting for them in front of the gate. Proudly, majestically, he made his way through his herd and toward the gate and the stockade. And in the early morning, there he stood, head held high, beautiful rack of antlers. And the men who were there waiting for the deer to come were surprised. They had been told by the king to never shoot either one of the deer kings. And so they stood there, not quite knowing what to do. Finally, they agreed that the king must come and order them to do one thing or another. And so one of the three men that was there went riding off on one of his horses and presented himself to the king. And the king, when he heard that the Banyan Deer himself was standing, left everything that he was doing, went running down to the stable, saddled and bridled a horse, and rode off into the early morning light to go see the sight, to go see the Banyan Deer standing there, awaiting execution. The king had pardoned both the deer kings, and the Banyan Deer would not. He was not going to be slaughtered. The king rode, his garments blowing in the wind behind him, or, through the wind as he rode along. And when he got to the stockade, he quickly dismounted and made his way up the stairs, looked over the top of the wall, and there standing was the Banyan Deer. The Banyan Deer had heard the commotion as he came riding up and heard him ascend the stairway. And when the king looked over the wall at the deer, the Banyan Deer looked back up at him. Their eyes met. In ancient days, and even for some people today, the language of the animals can be understood. When there's an animal that wishes to communicate with a human, it's much easier for that human, if they're open, to receive that communication, understand what's being shared. And this was the case. The Banyan Deer was open, and the king was open as well. The Banyan Deer basically allowed the king to know that there he was presenting himself for slaughter. The king said, "You are pardoned. You will never be slaughtered. You are free from this fate." The Banyan King said, "I'm sorry, but fate has brought me here today, and it is I that need be executed. So please get on with the job and be done with it." The king said, "No, I wish you to go in peace. I will not execute you, nor will I have you executed." The Banyan King said, "Well, I will not go." Well, the king asked, "Well, then what will it take? What will it take for you to go?" Well, the Banyan Deer said, "There was a doe that came. She was with fawn, and she asked to be pardoned from the lottery. The king of her herd would not allow it. But when she came to me, I felt that it was unjust. For if she was slaughtered, so was the fawn that she carried. Thus two would be slaughtered instead of one." Well, there's a remedy to that. Today we will just leave it that no deer are slaughtered. "O king," said the Banyan Deer, "how can I walk away knowing that tomorrow this pain and suffering will continue?" The king thought for a little bit, and he said, How about I allow your herd to go free? You and your herd can walk out of the stockade and return to the forest. I will let you go free." "Oh, king, how could I live with that? It's very kind of you to offer for me and my herd to go free. But it would just increase the suffering for the other herd of deer. Their pain and suffering would be increased doublefold." "No, I'm sorry. That is not enough." "Then what more can I do?" asked the king. "What more can I do?" I will tell you. I will free both your herds. You may both go with your herds back to the forest and out of the stockade." The Banyan Deer said, "No, this will not be enough." And when he said this, the king could not believe his ears and began to wonder even more. What more could he do? And we'll leave the story there. Find out what is it that the Banyan Deer asks for next. Okay, thanks for joining. Have a good rest of your day or evening.